Senior pastor, huh?
Takes longer.
Takes a lot longer. I mean, I'd have a parking lot in there 6 months ago. I'm just kidding. It slows us down, and it makes us defer to one another, right? It makes us think about what the other guy's saying. Oh, you know what? I never thought of that. And sometimes you can have a lot of the guys saying we should go this direction, and a couple guys saying, I'm just not comfortable. And in the end, you end up not going that direction because God used those couple of guys to stop the process. And then on the flip side, sometimes you're going a certain direction, and most of them are going there, and one guy's kind of lagging behind, and he needs to come on board and play catch up. But at the end, there's a unity. So we never make a decision without unity. In fact, we just did this a couple Saturdays ago. We go around the room sometimes. Dale, what do you think? Tell me what you think. Mike, what do you think? Bob, what do you think? Kurt, what are you thinking? Every man has to say it because we want to make sure we've got unity. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to leave that meeting and one guy or two guys or four guys say, well, I'm in the minority. I got outvoted. So, okay, the guys that voted 5-4, they win, but I don't agree with it. What does that do to the church? Now what do you have? You have seeds of discord. If those guys aren't careful. Now maybe in a congregational model, they figured out how to work that, and those guys can say, okay, I lost, my vote didn't count, or whatever. But if you have unity, and every man walks out of that room and says, we are united. We've even shown that here. Remember a couple of years ago, we had all the elders up front. We had a very difficult shepherding issue. Very, very difficult. It was a man we had to remove from our church for divisiveness. And 6 or 8 elders stood up on our stage and said, together, we as a corporate team believe that this man has caused division in our church. What message does that communicate to the church? Confidence. They've wrestled through this. They're all on the same page. So does that mean we get it right every single time? That doesn't mean that. But it does mean that the chances, I don't like that word, the chances of us being all on the same page and having the will of God is much better when we function in unity. But as Dale, someone said, it's a lot harder process. And so I would even say this: if you get wind of the elders having disagreements with each other, don't worry. It's part of the process. It's part of the process. If somehow something leaks out and says, well, I heard all the elders are on the same page, well, give us some time because we're working through it. Not every decision is an easy one. So don't freak out and think that there's division amongst the elders. No, we just have to work through some difficult things. And in the end, we trust that the Lord will give us his will. So that's a benefit of a plurality. So thoughts on this? Which, by the way, just reflects the unity of the church. That should be there. Right? Think about all those passages in the New Testament that talk about unity, being of the same mind, same heart, striving together with one mind, one purpose. We want that to be reflected in our elder team because we believe that how the elders go, the church goes. How the shepherds go, the sheep go. Like priests, like people. There are many times where you have to say, you know what, I'm not going to get my way. And that's okay because I'm more interested in the unity. There's things that are happening here that, I'm careful how I say this. There are
So you had to bite your tongue.
I've had to say that's not how I would do it. And if it were up to me and I was the senior pastor, we would do it, which maybe we should have the senior pastor. I would do it a different way. I could give you 5 examples off the top of my head, which I'm not going to do, of things that I would do a different way. But I don't always get my way. And what I care more about is the unity of our elder team. So
I think that's the important distinction, what you just said, because I think some people think, like the elders, we sit around discussing, like, debating the virgin birth or, the resurrection or something like that. The things that bring division into the elders aren't first, second, third tier doctrinal issues. Like, that gets all worked out before you get in. It's what you've been saying, it's the preferences. I look around and I think, yeah, there's a half a dozen things I'd be doing a whole lot differently as well, but you know what? It might not be my preference, but it's what works and it's what the other guys wanted. So fair enough, we're going to do it that way because we're not debating scripture. We may be debating the principles and applications of those things, but when it comes to like solid doctrinal truth, don't get the idea that we're back there struggling over the resurrection of Christ. Like there's 3 guys that are like, I'm just going to defer to you guys that Christ actually was bodily resurrected. That's not what he's talking about, because the words he's been using, preferences and my desires and my opinions, we have 8 elders, so you can guarantee there's at least 12 opinions on any matter, right? Because everybody has the opinions and most of them change. And so, you're gonna have guys that have strong opinions, but the strength comes in the humility to be able to say, you know what? If 7 guys are going in this direction, and I wanna go in this direction, I can't sit here honestly and think that I'm the one that has the keys to the kingdom, right? Like, there's probably something wrong with me. And so that's where deferring then would be on your opinion, not on matters of doctrinal importance, so to speak.
Operating from a place of good faith with each other, right? There's a relationship where you trust each other, and that if you're operating from a place of distrust, that's there are real problems there. There's good faith and trust. You can really kind of greases the wheels of any discussion. It would.
Yeah. Imagine they're on our elders. We love our brothers that we get to serve with. It is a real blessing, and I trust these men implicitly.
Well, I could see where you defer a lot to someone's experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that happening all the time. Well, that's your area. That's your 8 years of experience. I respect that.
Yep. Yeah, like some got just some great wisdom when it comes to finances. He's an accountant. And sometimes we just say, Chris, what do you think we should do? I don't know. Accountant? I don't even know what to do. I mean, you get the idea. Chris says, what? Why? Help us. Give us your. So we hear it, we move on. That's typically how it works.
That's why it's nice having a mix, because you have sitting here, Dale and Mike, like they've been around so they can be like, Bob, you know what, we tried that idea 35 years ago. So let's just take it off the I love the wisdom that comes from having guys that have been around. It's like term limits.
Yeah.
I love the wisdom that comes from guys that can look at you and just be like, we thought that was a great idea too in 1987. Not going back there. And so, because it gives you safety, like, hey, if there's something wrong, they're going to say something. And so, yeah, I really appreciate the fact that there's a plurality of elders, and you can implicitly. So you don't have to be at every elders meeting, talk and go away for 3 months, and he doesn't even know that we were plotting against him. But you just have that. You have that camaraderie with one another.
Yeah. Yep. And you mentioned term limits. That's why I don't have term limits, because I don't understand. I get it. Churches function with term limits, but it takes him another year to figure out how to get comfortable in what he's doing. He's got 1 year essentially to be an elder, and then he's off. You just turn that guy off the elder team, and you lose all his wisdom and stride. And so, I mean, Dale, you've been an elder since I've been here. So, think about that. There's wisdom and experience that comes with that. All right, last section, we'll try to wrap it up here. Chapter 7 is on modeling maturity. Before lead others, you have to yourself be a godly man. So when it comes to ministry, being an elder, who the man is must precede what the man does. So a faithful ministry begins with a holy life. You cannot watch over the lives of other people if you don't first watch over your own life. And so we at the proving ground for men being is their own walk with the Lord, how they lead their family. So personal integrity, public ministry. So chapter 7, let me just hit highlights here. Your personal life. And I preached in chapel here on Wednesday on Acts 20. Be on guard for yourself. Doesn't he reverse this? Why doesn't he say be on guard for your flock and for yourselves? Why the order? Because must be in order before you step into responsibilities. You must guard yourself before you guard the flock. Same thing in 1 Timothy 4:16. The order is the same. Pay close attention to yourself and to your teaching. You can be the greatest teacher in the world, but if your life is not teaching anybody. So there's an order here that is very important. You must pay strict attention to your own spiritual state first. On page 10, this is where all faithful shepherding begins. So, guys, if you're interested in being an elder, or if you aspire to that, I'm not trying to say you have to aspire to be an elder someday. You can just aspire to be wonderful. If you aspire to be an elder, then the greatest and most important thing you can do prior to that is cultivate your own holiness, your own godliness. You have to walk with the Lord. You have to love Christ. You have to mortify sin. You have to know how to discipline yourself. You have to be a godly man first and foremost. Because, as I say here, there's a direct connection in your use of the Lord. If you are not spiritually sharp, and I mean that in a character way, I don't just mean intellectually, I mean in your character, you will not be a faithful shepherd. You have to be godly. You have to be holy. You have to live a trimmed back life. You have to have things kind of and not a lot of things sticking out and spilling out of your life that can become opportunities for Satan to grab a. So you have to make sure that your life is first and foremost lived in integrity. 10, I just quickly listed some of the threats. Paul says in Acts 20, guard you. Well, first of all, you have to guard against satanic attacks. It's a spiritual warfare. And if you're going to be a leader in the church, you're going to put a bullseye in your head. You're going to put a target on your back. And Satan will want to take you down, because if he can take you down, he can affect a whole lot more people than if he just takes someone in the church down. I mean, that would be devastating if someone in this room who's not an elder fell. The fallout of what would happen to the church if elders fell, it would be incredibly more impactful. So you just have to know that that's what his plan is, though. When you become an elder, if you step into a realm where you take a target on your shoulders, on your back, on your head. Guard against satanic attacks. Secondly, you've got to guard against fleshly lusts, which wage war against your soul. You've got to be careful that you don't let your lusts get out of control. Spurgeon said it this way: you need to be careful of even the minutia of your character. You can't live a single life, a separate life. You can't live some way in public and some way in private. You have to be consistent. You have to be a godly man fighting your own lusts. One of us have them. Every one of us has part of our unredeemed holy that will become a beachhead, just like Normandy became a beachhead for the Allied forces to launch their attack against Germany. Your flesh can become the beachhead which is attack. So you have to mortify your flesh. You have to mortify and practice the pursuit of holiness. You have to guard against worldly temptations, the temptation to pride and arrogance and success and all those other things that come with the world, the flesh, and the devil. So that's what you need to be, guys. And maybe if you get nothing out of today's topic, I mean, I hope the plurality was helpful, and I hope it's helpful to strike the polity. But maybe if you get nothing else out of today, get this: you are in, you really are, and we have to cultivate a holiness and be the most effective instrument for the Lord that we can be. Bottom of page 10, you must be like the woodworker whose tools are always sharp. I've done a lot of wood. Doing that, I don't get to do it much anymore, but you work with dull tools, dirty tools, you're going to hurt yourself because they're not sharp, they're not useful. So the same principle spiritually, you want to be sharp, you want to be, and the way you do that is by living lives. So that's critical. And then 11, not only must you pursue holiness, your personal must be imitatable. And this is what he talked about in the chapter. Paul says frequently, follow me as I follow Christ. Be an imitator of me as I imitate Christ. So if you were to ever aspire to the office of overseer, and even now, even if you don't ever hold the office, you should aspire to this. You should aspire to being able to say, look, to my wife and to my kids and any man I disciple and anyone who sees me, I want you to follow me because I'm following Christ. That perfectly. We never do that perfectly. But as an elder, there's a sense in which we should be able to say that to our people. Follow me. Follow me as I love Christ. Follow what he's called me to live. So you have to and so is your life imitatable to the people that God's entrusted to you? Chapters on dismiss prayer is obviously important. We need to pray for our people. Need to have a vibrant prayer life if you're going to be a faithful shepherd as well. But any questions or anything related to this whole topic of eldership or anything you want to follow up on?
I like your quote when you taught chapel on Wednesday. It said, is on the Acts point personally sees your public ministry. I think it's so important. You've been talking about like false teachers, and you look at Benny Hinn, obviously, with his coming out, to see that lifestyle. $1,000 on a night at a hotel room. Okay, like people still follow him, and they think it's okay that you have that kind of a lifestyle. The integrity that's coming and then spews into his ministry life, because what does he want? He just wants money. And at the end of the day, I'm going to do anything to get money. So I think oftentimes we dismiss a minister's personal life, but as congregants or as sheep in a flock, we should desire not only our own lives to be holy, but also that the people who are ministering to us. Because as you said today in the sermon, like there's only one reason why false teachers are prevalent is because there's a market.